What's up, guys? It's your boy Motion, bringing you guys another video. In today's video, we're going to talk about the 10 things that I love about my DBX1 Tao Tao. So if you guys don't know, the Tao Tao 140cc is called the DBX1 and I own it. You guys probably seen it on the channel, but in this video I want to talk to you about 10 things that I love about it. In the past I've done 5 things I love about other bikes like the Apollo, but this video I switched it to 10 things just because I actually really do like the bike. But don't worry, we will talk about 10 things we dislike about the bike in another video, because not everything is perfect and I'm not here on this channel to try to get you guys to buy the Tao Tao. I'm not trying to convince you that it's a perfect bike or the best bike in the world. There's always pluses and minuses. So with that being said, let's get started with 10 things that I like about the bike. So starting off with the first thing, which it might not seem like it, but it's the height of the bike. If you guys don't know, the height of the Tao Tao is not like the Apollo 007, the Apollo RFZ, the any of those 125cc bikes, the smaller ones. They're very short, not very short, but like I'm 5'7", 5'8" with shoes, and the bikes are just a little bit shorter and you kind of look like a big person on a little bike. So you can definitely tell they're pit bikes, but this Tao Tao is a little bit taller and bigger, just not wider. It's kind of skinny actually, but it's taller, so the bike just feels more like a dirt bike rather than a pit bike, and it's just as fun as a pit bike. But I know a lot of you guys are probably like, yo, why does the ride height matter? But for me, because I mean, I don't want to look like a big old clown sitting on a small pit bike. I mean, pit bikes are fun, but they just look, let's be honest, they look funny riding them just because they're smaller than a normal bike. Now, I don't know how much bigger it is. I actually don't know the exact specs, but it's a lot noticeably. On the Apollos or the RFZ or anything like that, my feet are flush on the ground and my knees are bent, so I can sit on it pretty good. On the Tao Tao, I'm pretty much straight footed, both feet on the ground flat, so it's probably like this much taller, which is not much, like what, 4 inches, 3 inches maybe taller, but it's still just as fun. A lot noticeable, so it makes the bike just look bigger. Moving on to the second thing. This kind of goes with the ride height, but it is the seat of the bike. If you guys know the Apollo 007, one thing that was my first bike I got. One thing that I didn't really like about the Apollo 007 was the seat was kind of like fat and wider, and it didn't really look like a dirt bike seat. It kind of had that pit bike seat look to it, and I mean, you can't really be mad at it just because it is a pit bike, but just having the seat bigger and wider, it kind of looked weird. But the Tao Tao DBX1 actually has a dirt bike looking seat. It's very narrow, thin, and it's got the stripes on it of the stitching going around it. So it looks like something that I can actually buy a seat cover for and install it onto that bike rather than the Apollo's big fat wide seat. And again, guys, these are all my personal preferences of what I like about the bike. So anyone that gets the bike will probably hate some of the things that I'm talking about, or they'll love some of the things that I hate in the next video. Moving on to number 3 is the power of the bike. Now I know it's a 140cc, which is just about 15cc better than the 007 and the RFZ, which are bikes that we also have here on the channel. It doesn't sound like much, 15cc, but it actually feels a little bit more responsive. It feels like it's got just enough power. Like the other ones feel like they have the power, they have power to do wheelies and stuff, like it's almost there, but it just needs a little bit more of a kick to it. So the Tao Tao 140cc actually has that kick, so it feels good to actually wheelie in second gear. It feels good to you can actually pop it up in third gear, and the Apollo and RFZ, you can't do it in third gear. So the bike has a little bit more power, it's a little bit faster, which it's also always fun to ride with your friends with 125s, and even though they're all cheap bikes, the 140cc still is a little bit faster, so it's always fun to pass them up, you know. So for the price, I think you're paying only $100 more. I think it's worth it. If you're gonna get a bike that's $800 versus $900, I would get the 140cc just because it has that initial power that makes it a little bit more fun to ride. And it's not nothing crazy that you're gonna just hate it because you're like, this is way too fast. It's a lot of fun, trust me. Moving on to number 4 is the first kick. So if you guys don't know, like some of the bikes, like the 007, I think, actually the 007 was pretty good with it, but my friend's Apollo 250cc that we had on the channel, that you had to kick it many times for it to cut on and stuff. And most dirt bikes, you usually have to kick it a little bit more than just once, depending on how good the quality of the bike is and how well they took care of it. But so far, the Apollo or the Tao Tao is first kick. The second I put my foot on it and compress it down, kick it, it usually starts up first kick. You just gotta give it a little bit of gas as you kick it, and it cuts on fairly easy. I love that because anytime you stall out or if the bike turns off or something like that, you're not sitting there sweating or dying because you're sitting there kicking the bike for 20 minutes. It's actually just kick it and you're good to go. I know it would be better if it had electric start, but if it kicks first kick, I mean, it's not that bad. Moving on to number 5 is the gas tank. I know it's weird to say, what do you mean the gas tank? The gas tank of the actual bike, it's plastic. Most bikes like the Apollo RFZ, they're metal. At first, I didn't like it because I was like, metal just feels like better quality. It feels like it'll last longer. It just feels better. But honestly, if you think about it, the plastic is lighter than the metal, so that means the bike is a little bit lighter, so it could be a little bit faster just because of that, because of weight reduction. But not even just that, but I feel like the tank is big, so you're not refilling your tank up as much as you would on the Apollo 007 or the RFZ. So it's just a lot better to refill the tank just once every like month or something like that, compared to having to do it every weekend or something. So it's definitely better to have a bigger tank. It does mean more weight on the bike because you got more gas in it, but it's still worth it to not have to fill up all the time. Moving on to the 6th thing is the panels of the bike. As you guys can see, the panels are sexy. Like, it actually has a nice clean dirt bike look to it, and that's the reason I really wanted this bike, is because it has a clean, it looks like a dirt bike, even though it's not like a name brand dirt bike. It's still a clean, sexy Chinese bike. Now the panels also are very, very easy to take off compared to the 007 and the RFZ. The RFZ, each panel, like the sides where the number plates are, those are separate. The front part is separate. They're all just separately. But on the Tao Tao, surprisingly, all you have to do is take off the seat and then unscrew a few of the screws on it, and the panel comes off as one panel. It's not taking separate panels off and then putting back on one by one. It's one separate panel, so you take the whole panel, put it to the side, and it just makes it super clean. Whenever you're cleaning the bike, it just feels better to have everything organized, and then when you're putting it back on, you don't have to line everything up. You just take that big panel, put that on, and it lines up perfectly. So it's a lot better, in my opinion, to have something like that. Plus, it's more stronger. Like, the side panels on the 007 is falling apart completely just because it's held up by one screw. But this one, since they're all connected, you have multiple screws on it, so it's supporting the whole entire panel, so it's not going to break or rip off as easy as the other bikes. Now, for the 7th thing that I love about the Tao Tao DBX1 is the gold forks. Most bikes are actually gold. Some of them, actually a lot of them are, you'll see gold ones, and I just like the gold look rather than the silver, just because it looks a little bit more clean. It looks different. I see a lot of real bikes that have the gold forks. The DBX, or no, not the Tao Tao, Apollo 007 and the RFZ both have silver forks, which it's not bad. I mean, this is, again, it's kind of all preferences, but I do like the gold forks. It just makes the bike look a lot cleaner. Number 8 is the brake on the bike. Now, not actually how sensitive the brake is. The brake's pretty much the same on all of them. I'm going to be honest with you, on the DBX1, 007, and the RFZ, all the brakes are the same. The thing I mean is the rear brake at the foot peg, you'll see in the shot that I'm showing you now, but the brake comes above the foot peg rather than below it. The thing that sucks about it going below it is we've noticed some problems with our friends where the foot peg bends downwards and it ends up getting stuck and pushing the rear brake down the whole time. So you're gonna have to bend it, adjust it, and fix it like that. But this one, it goes over it, so even if the foot peg bends down, it's not going to affect the rear brake where it's constantly pushing down on it. And most bikes, the brake in the rear actually goes over the foot peg rather than under it, so I don't know why they did that for the 007 or RFZ. Number 9 is the oil cooler that actually comes on the bike. Now, some people might say it's not needed or it doesn't matter, because I mean, it still runs just as good, just as long as the other bikes, as my friends, but it's reassuring to know that your bike has an oil cooler that will keep your oil cool rather than just letting it get hot over time. So I feel like my bike, compared to the 007, will actually last longer with riding. Like, you can ride it for 6 to 7 hours without having to worry that the whole engine's overheating or anything like that. And also, it does look cool having that extra part or piece on the bike. As you guys can see, it just looks like it's more of an important bike rather than just like, oh yeah, let's just sell this cheap piece of crap. So it looks like Tao Tao actually put some time and effort into that bike and actually takes care of it. And moving on to the last and final thing is the exhaust. Now, the chrome exhaust look, I just love it way better than the 007. The 007 exhaust, if you guys saw from my other videos, it was very like, it was just gray, plastic looking. It didn't look like a nice chrome exhaust. But this one and the RFZ have a nice clean chrome exhaust look to it. So the exhaust looks very good when it comes to quality. But guys, that's basically it. My camera is about to die, so I have to end this video now. But I will show you guys some shots of the bike here in a second. And guys, if you please please can give this video a thumbs up, share it with your friends, let them know how the DBX1 is and the good things about it. I've had the bike for over 2 months now, so I can review it finally and give you my honest opinion about the bike. The bike is amazing. I love it. I love it better than the Apollo, better than the RFZ. It's just a mint bike. I really do like it. But with that being said, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you please can give this video a thumbs up. Like I said, share it with your friends. Stay tuned for the next video. We're going to talk about 10 things that suck about the bike. So before you guys buy it, it'll be good to watch that video just so you're aware of it before you buy it. But guys, with that being said, I will see you in the next video. Peace.